Good morning. Good morning to you at home. Happy Easter. I want the children to know this morning I opened up the blinds of my window like I do every morning, and right outside my window was a bunny rabbit who then hopped across the street and went into the woods. That has never happened before. You remember when we talked about God last week, I may have used this line or maybe not, but Bill Moyer said that coincidence was God's way of staying anonymous. So that's what I thought about this morning. Jenna, we're going to light 2 candles this morning. The first, as we do each morning, but in this time of Ramadan and Holy and Easter, may we once again send our hearts and our love and our prayers to the people of Israel and Gaza, the Ukraine and Russia. And this week, I ask you to hold also in your hearts the families of the 6 people who died on the Baltimore Key Bridge. I know 4 of their names: Alejandro Hernandez Fuentes, Dorlian Castillo Cabrera, Maynor Sandoval, and Miguel Luna. They're 2 people who've yet to be identified. So as we do each week, let us hold those who need prayers. And the second candle, did you like that already? Okay. The second candle, next slide, please. Next slide, please. Thank you. Today is also Transgender Day of Visibility, which was set about 6 years ago on March 31st. Somebody said, how could they set the same day as Easter? But it's actually Easter that moves. It does not. Some of my colleagues figured out how to do a trans Easter service, but that felt a little too forced for me. But I do want you to know that on Tuesday night, the UUA at 8 o'clock is going to be holding a service online. And I encourage you, all of those who are trans, but also all of us who are cis and allies, to attend that day. I want our trans folks to know that we see you and we love you. The opening words this morning are by my colleague, the Reverend Peggy Clark. It's called Love Brings Us Back to Life. Easter is a holiday of miracles. It is life from death, joy from sorrow, celebration from mourning. Easter reminds us that all is never lost, that the story continues as long as we are here to tell it. So gather up your worries. We're going to bury them beneath the ground and watch them transform into flowers of hope. Pushing through the earth, reminding us this Easter morning that love brings us back to life, calls us from sadness, from grief, from anxiety, into a world renewed and alive and filled with joy once again. And so I will invite you to rise in body or spirit and join with us in singing a hymn about the earth and spring returning. Lo, the earth awakes again.
And ask Nancy and Larry Wilco to join me as we light our chalice, the symbol of our faith. This is an excerpt from Easter is Breaking by Kathleen Rowlands. Somewhere across the world, Easter is breaking. Not the Easter we may think of, with arms upraised and he is risen, echoing from canyons, but a much quieter, less dramatic Easter. Somewhere in the world, perhaps not this day, but someday soon, a woman and a man rise from their beds, shaking the sleep from their eyes, and find their children already awake and preparing for their morning prayers. And somewhere in the world, Easter dawn breaks over the earth, not only on this day, but every day. And the familiar pulse in our veins throbs of peace, peace, peace. Good morning. My name is Jenna Kern-Rugiel and my pronouns are she, hers, and I have a few announcements. Next Saturday, April 6th, please join us at the Stimson Middle School for Huntington Unity Fun Day. This is a special day for all who want to engage with the Huntington community. The day kicks off at 10 a.m. with a parade up Oakwood Road from Huntington High School to Stimson Middle School, and kids are especially welcome to participate in the parade. There will be a ton of things for kids and families and all of us to do once we're at the fair. The UUFH will have a booth at the event, and we need volunteers. Please let Nikki Willard know if you plan to participate in the parade, and please stop by our booth to say hello. That same evening, our always amazing auction gala begins at 7 p.m. here in the main hall. The auction will include live bidding on some fantastic items and parties, along with raffle baskets, a 50-50 raffle, and light food and beverages. So for those of you who've been to the auction before, you know what a fun event this is. If you haven't been, this is not sitting down, staring at a front room where an auctioneer takes your bids. This is a real party, and it is one of our most important fundraisers and friend-raisers of the year. Speaking of friends, your friends are welcome to join you. So online bidding and ticket purchases have begun already online. You can purchase tickets and bid at uufh.org. And if you have any questions about bidding or have any trouble getting online, you can see Sue McGovern and the rest of the auction team after the service today. Finally, next Sunday after our service is our congregational meeting where you will get to vote on the board and the nominating committee. You can join us after the service in person, or you can also participate online.
Hello, good morning. Is it working? Yeah, okay, great, sorry. I'd like to invite all the children and youth to the front. Hi. Melanie. Hey guys, good morning. Okay, you want to pass these out, Bill? Okay, I'll give you some. Good morning, happy Easter, everyone. We're going to be singing the affirmation or common ground. And then one time with just us, and then the congregation will join us. Okay. Thank you. Different roads we travel, bring us one to speak the truth with open hearts, with loving hearts, Wait, no, sorry. Thank you, everyone. Just go back to your seats and I'll call you up for time of all ages, okay? Thank you.
That was a lot of cuteness factor, right? This is the time in our service where we invite you to come forward, including the children, or to go to the back to light a candle of a joy or sorrow or concern in your heart. Sue McGovern from the Pastoral Care Committee will join us up here, and she will have cards if you didn't write something in advance that you want shared with the congregation. She has some pens. Please be in silence as Richard plays as you come forward to express your joys and concerns in your heart. Thank you. A candle for our own Helen Boxwell, who is honored this week at the Women's History Month celebration by the town of Huntington. A blessing for Carla as she embarks on a new career path. Whit would like us to know that he wants us to have a happy Easter. Christina says next Saturday, Jim and I celebrate 22 years of marriage and that she loves him. He's in the back, right? For our member Barbara Kent, who has COVID right now, we send our prayers. For a dear friend who took his own life in June of 2023, we continue to mourn. A wish of happy Easter to Margot, who is missed. And to Nanina in heaven from Lila, Connie, and John, also wish happy Easter. And then someone drew me a really pretty little picture that says happy Easter, so I will keep this. Would you join me, please, in your own moments of quiet meditation, reflection, or prayer? spirit of life and love, we come together this morning to celebrate the Christian holiday of Easter, the Trans Day of Visibility, the beginning of spring, the flowers, the sun, the baby bunnies outside the window. We too know the dark. We know what it is to feel entombed, to have grief and sorrow. We think today of a grandmother in heaven. We think today of a friend who is gone. We think today of family dinners that are no more, and people who we used to celebrate with. We are reminded that just like Jesus was in the tomb, we too have those days in the dark where we can't see what is coming next. And yet, spring comes each year. We roll away the rocks, and we have the birthdays to celebrate, and the children's wishes for Easter to celebrate, and the new jobs, and the birthdays, and the 22-year anniversaries, and all of the things that make our life good. And so we say, Alleluia, praise. Praise for this day, praise for this life, praise for this community, for this time together. And so may it be. Amen.
Oh, hello, good morning. I'd like to invite the children and youth up again. Okay. Okay. You guys can sit up here. Yes. Okay, so this morning I have a wonder box. So there's going to be items in here that we're going to talk about, okay? So the first item I have is an Easter bunny. How many of you do have these rabbit stuffies at home? You have a bunny? Yeah, this is my daughter's Emily's. So yeah, you can hold that if you want. And who celebrates Easter and has an Easter bunny come to their house, and you have an Easter?
Easter honey bunny.
Easter honey bunny, that's really nice.
Mine brought me eggs that filled up my whole entire bucket.
Anybody else have the Easter bunny come to their house? Yeah, okay, great. So the rabbits are actually a symbol of renewal and fertility because baby bunnies are born in the spring, right? Rabbits can give birth up to 4 times in the spring and can have a total of up to 48 baby bunnies. So yeah, a lot. So they're introduced to America in the 1700s by German immigrants who brought them who brought over their stories of egg-laying rabbits. The egg-laying rabbit was called Osterhase or Osterhase or Osterhase. The German children made nests in which Osterhase could lay its colored eggs. The Easter Bunny also gives chocolate and other types of candies and gifts, right? So this, what is this? Right, yeah, so this is an egg, right?
I found 3 eggs and I ate the chocolate.
Nice, yeah, that's fun on Easter. What, you want to tell me? Oh,
I painted this egg.
yeah, so my daughter decorated this egg. So you want to hold it, or does someone else want to hold it? Do you want to hold it? You want to hold it, Soleil? Okay, and show it to everybody, okay? Thank you. So eggs are linked to pagan traditions celebrating spring. Just as spring brings new life, the egg is an ancient symbol of new life. Eggs are believed to be a symbol of fertility and the rebirth of nature after winter. So did any of you decorate eggs? Does anyone else want to share? Or no? Here, I'll let Millie.
I heard this thing where if you take a little small bag of rice, put a lot of dye in it, and put the egg in, shake it up, and then take it out, it's all tie-dye.
Oh, that's a cool idea. Yeah, that's a cool idea. Okay, so yeah. Emily?
I decorated eggs and then put stickers on them to look like robots.
So decorating eggs is believed to date back to at least the 13th century, the 1200s. So one explanation for decorating eggs is that eggs were formerly a forbidden food during Lent, another Christian tradition. So people would paint and decorate them to mark the end of fasting, and then they would eat them as a celebration. All right, so what is this? What kind of flower is this?
A lily.
Yeah, did you guys anybody bring a lily today? Plant or have lilies at home?
I brought them.
Nice, thank you. So do you want to hold it? Or you want to hold it? You want to hold it, Julia? Okay, thank you. Thank you, Julia. Okay, so they are now the unofficial flower of Easter in the United States. They grow from dormant bulbs in the nutrient-rich ground to flowers in the spring, symbolizing rebirth and hope. Okay, so what is this? Yeah.
Yeah. When I don't have peeps, I don't know when I have them.
I know, yeah, thanks, Billy, yeah. You want to take it back? Okay, thanks. Okay, so you want to hold them and just show them to everyone, Soleil, okay? Okay, thank you, thank you. So peeps are a sugary pastel colored treat or marshmallow that a Pennsylvania-based candy manufacturer called Just Born, founded by Russian immigrant Sam Born in 1923, started selling in the 1950s. The original peeps were handmade marshmallow flavored yellow chicks, but now come in other shapes and flavors like this one in pink. Chicks lay lots of eggs, and we just talked about eggs to celebrate spring. This is the last thing. Do you guys know? Okay, what is this?
What's that bush called?
Do you guys know? Anybody else? Angelique, do you know? No? Okay. Okay. Yeah.
Forsythia.
Right, forsythia. Okay. Do you want to hold it, Millie? Okay, thank you. So this is the last item in our Wonder Box. So does anyone else have a forsythia bush on their lawn, or yeah, you do? So nice. You have a forsythia bush? Okay, you want to give these back? Thank you. I know, it's okay. Just put it in the thing. Okay. Do you want to say something, Soleil? What do you want to say?
I want to pick a flower.
You want to pick a flower? Wait, these are plants that people are going to take home, Soleil, okay? So maybe at the end, if your mom gets one, okay? Okay, thanks, Soleil. So forsythia bushes bloom in spring. We've entered into spring, right? So we see flowers in bloom, daffodils and forsythia, and the buds on the trees are getting ready to open and the birds are singing. Winter is in the end of the story. Spring is here. So what do all these items have in common? Okay.
They're they're all like thriving during spring. They all
Right, yeah, that's right. So for Scythia, sorry, spring, yes, thousands of years ago, people celebrated spring with pagan festivals and celebrations before Easter started. So yeah, you're right. Okay, so Jim, can you go to the next slide? Thank you. So everybody look at this slide. Do you guys remember this slide from last week? Yeah, some people, yeah. Who is this? Do you guys remember? No, you don't. Angela, you remember?
Jesus.
That's right. Yes, this is Jesus. So just as at Christmas, we celebrated Jesus's birth, at Easter, we celebrate his life and his death from 2000 years ago. And the way his spirit is still with us in our memory and kindness, in our memory of his kindness and wisdom. So Jesus is the key figure of the Christian religion. Reverend Deborah told us how Jesus stood up to his oppressors of his time. He told wonderful stories. He welcomed everyone and said to carry one another's burdens and to love one another just as he loved you. So just as the UUA is now proposing to center the values of Unitarian Universalism on love, Jesus was centered in love as well. You know, that picture with love at the center, right? So he had centered on love too. So Christians honor Jesus' death on Good Friday, and on Easter we remember Jesus's life. So thank you so much. That was all for Time of Our Ages, and happy Easter. Happy Easter.
Each week, we collect funds for a local nonprofit through our Split Plate program. Undesignated donations are divided evenly between the UUFH and our Charity of the Month. This month, we're collecting funds for the Long Island Doula Association, or LIDA, which believes that pregnancy, birth, and postpartum are normal processes and that with proper support and education, families can be empowered during this time. LIDA and its members provide evidence-based information and positive support, education, and care for women in the early stages of motherhood, from conception through postpartum. Its community support fund helps those who may be facing financial hardship, have had a death of a partner, have a history of or current postpartum depression, or those at risk, such as teen parents, single parents, or people experiencing a serious illness. On this Easter Sunday, please give as generously as you are able. This is an excerpt from The Last Week by Marcus J. Borg and John Dominic Crossa. Easter addresses the fundamental human question: what ails us? Most of us feel the force of this question. Something is not right. So what ails us? Very compactly, egoism and injustice, and the two go together. We need personal transformation and political transformation. The path involves dying to an old way of being and being reborn into a new way of being. Good Friday and Easter are about this path, the path of dying and rising, of being born again. We are invited into the journey that leads through death to resurrection and rebirth. The political meaning of Good Friday and Easter sees the human problem as injustice and the solution as God's justice. Compassion, love, is utterly central to the message and life of Jesus, and justice is the social form of compassion.
Thank you, choir. That was lovely. Thank you, Richard. So I have some questions for the children. Would you raise your hand if you like coming to the fellowship? Okay, good. And would you raise your hand if you like your RE classes and RE activities? Yeah, okay, good. And would you raise your hand if you like staying for the whole service and listening to me give a sermon? God bless you. Oh, and Whit, thank you. So I kind of thought that there'd be fewer hands. So I challenged myself to write a homily for Easter that will, I hope, interest both the children and the grown-ups. It's called 4321, and it's going to be about 12 minutes long because I know I'm the only thing standing between you and the Easter egg hunt. But what I'm going to do in this sermon is I'm going to talk about 4 things, and then 3 things, and then 2 things, and then 1 thing. And I'm going to be educating a little bit about Easter as I go along. So number 4 comes from the Buddhist tradition. The Buddhists introduced the Eightfold Path as a way to live well. A long time ago, a good friend of mine told me that Buddhism could be explained in 4 pieces of advice. Show up, speak the truth, do it with enthusiasm, and don't get attached to the outcome. That's basically what Jesus did during his life up until he was murdered by the Roman Empire. On the first Sunday of Holy Week, Jesus rode into Jerusalem on a donkey, followed by a parade of ragtag people at the exact time that the Roman leaders were entering on the other side of the city. During that week, Jesus spoke to huge crowds of people, often telling them puzzling stories, which are called parables. And during his last week, he had many enthusiastic conversations with people in the temple courtyard. Jesus did this even though he knew he was going to be killed for opposing the Roman Empire by the end of the week. I mean, you can imagine if this was your last week, would you want to be giving talks to strangers? No, right, exactly. But what did Jesus do? He showed up and he wasn't attached to the outcome. So we can apply these 4 principles to our lives. We need to show up. We need to go to school, to work, to family dinners, and to the fellowship. But it's more than just being there, right? It's about being fully present, not thinking about other things, not being on our devices, not wishing you were someplace else. Speaking the truth at minimum means not lying. That's something some important grown-ups in our country seem to have a hard time doing. But it's more, thank you for getting it in there, but it's more than not telling a lie. We must first discover what is our truth, and then we share it, even if it might be unpopular. Doing it with enthusiasm. Buddhism teaches us to be excited, passionate, engaged in our daily lives. And don't get attached to the outcome. The central thesis of Buddhism is that attachment causes suffering, and being non-attached is healthier. If you have a big test this week or a big work assignment, work hard, prepare well, but try not to get attached to the outcome. We can try new things like we are doing with our governance structure here at UUFH without knowing exactly how it will turn out. You got how I did that too? I want you to know, to the children and the grown-ups, that I try to live these 4 truths every week as your minister. I show up, I speak my truth, I bring my whole self with enthusiasm to whatever I'm doing, and I try not to worry about how it's going to turn out. I admit I'm better at the first 3 than the last. Okay, 3. There are actually many 3s I could have talked about in the Easter stories. Many Christians believe God is made up of 3 parts. Jesus's murder, Jesus's day in the tomb, and the resurrection take 3 days. Peter denies Jesus 3 times, but I'm choosing a different 3, a 3 that people attribute to Socrates, an ancient Greek philosopher. It says, before we talk, or maybe before we send an email, we should ask ourselves 3 questions. 1, is it true? 2, is it kind? 3, is it necessary? Maybe on those emails, that last one especially. It echoes, right? The covenant we sing each week. to seek the truth with open minds, with loving hearts and helping hands. So yes, we want to speak our truth, but we also need to ask, is it kind for me to say this? Might it be hurtful? Is it necessary? Will it help? When we're angry with somebody or hurt, right, we sometimes use words that can hurt the other person. Jesus does all that in the gospel stories. He often, in fact, avoids answering people directly. He usually asks people what they think, even in the last week when he was asked, "Are you the Messiah?" But when Jesus is clear that it is necessary, kind, and true, he speaks his message strongly. Throughout the story of the gospel week, the Gospels of Easter, he continues to remind his followers and all of us, be awake, pay attention. Okay, number 2 comes from the moment during the Easter week when a scribe in the courtyard has a question for Jesus. The scribe says, "Which commandment is the greatest commandment of all?" And Jesus answers with quotes from the Hebrew scriptures. Jesus says, "Love your God with all your heart, all your strength, and all your might." And the second is, "You shall love your neighbor as yourself. There are no other commandments greater than these two." Those pretty much sum up the ethic I try to live by. I love the world with all my heart, all my soul, and all my strength, knowing that I have such a precious short time to be alive, and treating others as we wish them to be treated, not harming others as we wish to not be harmed. This is the Hebrew scriptures version of the golden rule that is found in nearly all religions. Think about how different the world would be if we all lived by those two commandments. And one stands for one world, one humanity, one people. We are all interconnected. What I want and need for myself and my loved ones, I must want for everyone. All people, male people, female people, non-binary people, cisgender people, trans people, all people, wherever they live in the world, whatever their religion, whatever their skin color, all people have dignity and worth and deserve to be free. My favorite passage about Easter comes from the book of Matthew, chapter 25. The disciples in the garden asked Jesus, "Who gets into heaven?" And Jesus says, "All will get in who gave me food when I was hungry, drink when I was thirsty, welcomed me when I was a stranger, gave me clothing when I was naked, took care of me when I was sick, and visited me when I was in prison." Well, they were pretty puzzled by that. They were like, "Lord, we didn't see you hungry or thirsty. We didn't visit you in prison. You didn't need clothing. When did we give you something to drink?" And Jesus says to them, "Truly I tell you, just as you did to one of the least of these who are members of the world's family, you did this to me." So he's telling them that everyone is connected, that every person matters, and that we are all part of making the world a better place. That's the Easter message. Sounds pretty Unitarian, Universalist to me. It's this type of wisdom that reminds us that although we don't know whether the Easter story is a true story, we know that it is a truth story. So 4, 3, 2, 1. Show up, speak the truth, do it with enthusiasm. Don't get attached to the outcome. When you're talking and communicating with others, is it true? Is it kind? Is it necessary? Serve the world with all your heart, all your might, and all your strength, and love your neighbor as yourself. Remember that we are all one. There are no sides. There is only one side, one humanity, one precious earth. 4, 3, 2, 1. I hope that's a good Easter message for you today. Let us remember that in the darkest days, love comes to save us, that joy comes in the morning, that spring always comes to reclaim the earth. Let us roll away our rocks into joyous new beginnings. My friends, go in peace. May our real service begin.
Thank you to everyone for being here on this beautiful sunny Easter day. And if you're a newcomer, especially join us in the back of the hall for coffee and conversation. If you brought a flower, come get a flower. And for the children, it's almost time for the Easter egg. And meet by the front door to the main hall. Have a wonderful rest of your day.